All right, we are at Pintastic 2025, 10 years, Calvin.
Yes, Pintastic New England 2025. We are in Marlborough, Massachusetts. There's snow outside.
There is.
It's like April, 12th?
Yep.
And there's freaking, it was like, we got like 6 inches up here or something like that.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But you know what? We're having a lot of fun, as we always do when we cover Pintastic. We got some really cool machines. We got some interviews lined up, and we're going to go have a lot of fun.
All right, so let's check out this awesome convention in its 10th year. Okay, let's go.
Always have to walk off the camera. All right, Pintastic New England 2025. I am here with somebody who is awesome and who is going to be retiring after 7 years as head of the tech department.
Correct, yes.
So this is Tony. Tony, welcome to Pintastic 2025. I know you're having a good time, but it's crazy.
It is, but it's a really good show this year. We've got a lot of really interesting games, and the nice thing is that our show sponsor, founder, who brings a lot of his own personal games to the show, managed to go through them beforehand, and everything's been working a lot better for our show this year. So it's been great. We have some really fun games. We've got a lot of people here today, too. In spite of the weather, I'm just amazed that it turned out quite as well as it has.
Yeah, it is crazy busy, which is a good thing. Every year it seems like Pintastic has gotten bigger and better, and there's a lot of people behind the scenes that make this con work. And tech is very like the unsung heroes. I mean, you guys work your tail off. Talk a little bit about what you do and why you guys are so important.
Well, Pintastic is a show where we have a relationship with the people who bring the games to the show such that they trust us and give us keys to access their machine, and our contract with them, if you will, is that we'll check out if there's a problem, like a stuck ball, maybe a light bulb fell out of the socket and it's on the play field and it's interfering with play. We'll do a first-line triage, and if there's something wrong with the game that we can easily fix, we can repair it and have the game back in operation, which is quite different from other shows because it breaks, it stays broken for a long time. So that, I think, is one of the best things about our show is that we have a dedicated team of volunteers, and I have to say that without a dedicated team of volunteers, we have, I think, probably 10 or 11 today, and for this year's show, we wouldn't be able to get this done. But we're able to basically go throughout the entire free play room, Gabe's games in the VIP lounge, and we even help out with like Project Pinball, for example. They have some issues. So we concentrate on trying to keep the games running. We don't do board level repairs and things like that because that's impractical for us here. But we succeed, I'd say probably a good 80% of the time, getting games back in service. And if we run into difficult issues or like parts that we can't have, we can contact the owners, and often they're able to come out and repair it too. So it's a good how would you say, relationship that we've developed with all the folks that bring games to the show each year. And, we have to take a hat off to them as well, too.
And even from a layman's thing, even though I've been around this convention, 10 years, which is awesome, and I love pinball, it's a lot of work. And I've seen these guys work, and it's not just particular things. You got to think that, pinball's been around since the 30s, and you have machines from I don't think there were any 50 ones, but from the 60s on up. So we're looking at literally like 60 years, and the technology from the EMP stuff to today is like from like a pencil to like an iPad, and having to have that sort of expertise to be able to fix whether it's a stuck ball or a computer thing, that's not an easy thing to do.
Well, a good way to look at it is contrast it with automotive technology. Back in the 50s and 60s, we had cars that had points, ignition coils, and all these mechanical contrivances to be able to make the engine run and be able to keep up the sync of the engine. And nowadays we have computers that basically the car is an entire computer. And that's quite similar to pinball machines nowadays. We started off with mechanical switches, relays, point contacts, moving switches and things, and we're at a point now where we have solid state sensors that find out where the ball is on the play field. We have electronics boards that are custom designed, or in the case of people who build their own machines, they use off-the-shelf hardware to program it, and they're able to use microprocessors, controllers. In fact, we even have a group of students from a regional technical school who every couple of years design, build, and bring to the show their own game, which sometimes rivals the look and, I would say, I don't want to say quality, but it rivals what is put out by the commercial vendors. And it's really exciting that we've got that relationship too. Their instructor brings half a dozen students in his engineering technology course to us, and they serve as interns, or pinterns as we like to call them, for a couple hours on Friday morning. That gives them an opportunity to see how all this electronic and mechanical integration happens in real life, and it also gives the instructor a chance to say, see, I do know what I'm talking about. So it's a good relationship there as well, too, that we've built up over several years.
So you've been head of tech for a pretty long time, and then you started out volunteering for that. So this is your ninth Pintastic?
Yes, that's my ninth show.
But your first one, you were a game bringer. So obviously you were in pinball and you just wanted to go and have a good time. What got you into pinball, and do you have like a favorite table or two?
What got me into pinball? I think I was probably about 13 or 14 when I bought my first machine, but I was probably a few years younger than that when I started playing. And I'd get on my bike, I'd ride down to the pizza place, which was about 2 miles away from the house, and play pinball. And I had a buddy of mine, and we were both into electronics in some sense, so we loved figuring out how these things work. And one day, somebody had come to repair one of the pinball machines there, and they left the schematic, the wiring diagram of the game out after they'd closed the game up. And this was like precious gold to us. We're looking through this thing, and we analyzed how it worked, and we realized, oh, this is how it generates a random number. And we figured out if you play the game and you get so many points and you do the right things, you could control the match number, which is a random number that comes up at the end of the game, and if you match that to your score, it awards you a free game. So we figured out, I don't want to say cheap, but we figured out how the system worked, and we're able to mess around with it. After that, I had bought a couple of pinball machines for my wife. My wife and I have known each other from high school, and we've been together since then.
Awesome.
In fact, June is our 50th wedding anniversary.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. So when my wife Susie was 16, I bought her a Gottlieb slugging champ pinball machine.
Oh, wow.
Which, it's like a weird thing. You think about it, right? People are kind of odd, but she had a great fun time with it, put it in her house. It came with us through many, many years, and eventually at a point where I don't say it lost interest, but it was hard to play that and play a modern game. It was like riding a bicycle versus driving a Ferrari. So in terms of favorite games, I still think my favorite game is Twilight Zone, which is a great game. It's got a great integration into the theme of the television show. I grew up watching the Twilight Zone,
Yep.
so there's a lot of things I see in there about it. I managed to have a friend of mine who worked for one of the tech companies in Massachusetts had a chance when Ted Estes, who was the software designer for Twilight Zone, was coming to their factory for some unrelated reason, and he was able to corner him and get him to sign and autograph the translite, the back glass of the machine.
That's awesome.
So that was cool. So, but in terms of favorites, I think Twilight Zone probably is on top of the list. I also have a very unusual game. Take a quick second on that one. There was a company called Capcom, which made video games and controller-based games and things, and they forayed into pinball for a short while. And they think they made like 5 games in the United States. They were in the midst of producing their 5th and 6th games when corporate said, "There's no money in pinball. Shut the division down." So there were 2 games in pre-production at that time. One called Kingpin and one called Big Bang Bar. Big Bang Bar was almost ready to go into production. They had developed 14 prototypes when they shut the company down. There was a gentleman in Chicago by the name of Gene Cunningham who bought the intellectual property rights and the leftover circuit boards and the drawings and the diagrams and everything, and he said, "I'm going to build Big Bang Bar and bring it to production." And he did. And I have one. So I have one of his 193 machines that he made following the prototypes.
Was the one that was here at Pintastic a few years back, was that your machine?
No, it was not, but that was the same machine built in the same production sequence. So I think probably Twilight Zone as, one of the games that was produced in mass production, and then Big Bang. Those are probably my top 2. Addams Family is right next door. But it's like kids, you love all your kids. Which one would you say is your favorite, right?
Right. as fans well know what I've been watching the show over the years, when I espouse and expound upon pinball, Bonsai Run's my favorite. That's really kind of got me. I loved pinball when I was a kid, but then I grew up, I was born in '69, so right at the cusp of the video game era. So, and I just remember one time going to DG's arcade in Warwick, and I'm looking at this machine, I'm like, wait a minute, that's on like the back glass. And I started playing it, and then, that led to another, and then when I got my trucking job and I was driving all across country and got to see, a lot of truck stops had a lot of pinball machines, and I got back to it and never left since. So, 2025, your ninth Pintastic, but also word got out, and as it is in a con like this, once word gets out quickly, it spreads like wildfire. You're retiring from volunteering as tech job.
That's correct. This is my last show with Pintastic, my last volunteering show on the pinball circuit. I turned 69 in 2 weeks. Well, 20. Yeah, but almost 2 weeks. I'm getting old. I can't quite compute the numbers as fast as I could. And it's physical work. 2 days ago, I was on the floor crawling underneath pinball machines, and I was thinking, I am getting probably too old to do this kind of stuff. I still enjoy it, and I still would like to be able to help and volunteer. But my wife's retired. We have grandkids. We have things that we need to do, and it takes a lot of work. And I have to do a lot of work in terms of organizing volunteers, shift schedules, finding volunteers, which up to the last couple of years was a challenge. And this year, we're very fortunate and very blessed that we have so many volunteers on the tech team. But that's part of the job. Part of the job is also having to deal with setting up the environment. And people don't realize how much power 90 pinball machines in a room consume. We, in our free play area, we alone, for the people who bring games to Pintastic, we have approximately 90 machines in there, and that's somewhere around 12 to 14 20-amp electrical circuits. Do the math. We're powering a small factory in here probably, right? And of course, with everything pinball related, stuff goes wrong. 2 nights ago, we had a whole bank of 18 machines. People were playing them, and all of a sudden, all the lights went out. And unfortunately, due to communication error between us and the hotel electrician, we had plugged the games into the wrong place.
Oops.
Yeah, it was a big oops. But, fortunately, 5 minutes later, we got contact in, we sorted the details out, things were back up and running, and we've been very fortunate in this venue as well, because they've got solid power, and they've been very responsive to our needs, and it makes the job for us a lot easier. But, the other thing, too, that I want to just take a second to mention, too, is that I've had a great second in command, a great partner in this last several years by the name of Brian McCauley, and I know that you'll talk to him later, but I have to say, without Brian's help, a lot of things wouldn't be getting done. I'm an early bird. I'm usually in here by 8:30 or so in the morning. The show typically opens at 9 o'clock, so that gives us about an hour and a half to take care of things that broke overnight. Brian's a late one. He's usually up until at least 2:30 or 3:30 or some strange hour in the middle of the night fixing things.
I can attest to that, because I was up at like 2:30 last night, and there he was working on stuff.
And he loves doing it. Brian's his avocation, his career, his profession is arcade equipment repair, and that's how he makes a living. So he's very familiar with all the latest and greatest technology. I would readily admit that he's more up there in terms of how the current crop of games from Stern and Jersey Jack and other boutique manufacturers operate. But in the end, it's all electronics, and if it's a computer, my work in life is I work as a software developer for Oracle.
Oh, awesome.
And so I understand software. I understand the mechanical side of things. I'm not too bad with a paintbrush at times. And my daughter had a favorite game called Haunted House, and I would repair a haunted house and return it to its owner, and she would play like a game, and as a young kid, it's both flipper buttons at the same time, and she'd play a game, and the ball would drain, and she'd walk away, and it would return to its owner. Dad, that was my favorite game. Okay, this happened about 4 times in a row, and I finally said, I'm going to buy her one. So I bought her a haunted house. I spent dozens, if not hundreds of hours repainting sections of the play field where the paint had flaked off, and It's done. It's in her basement, and her kids play it. So that's pretty cool, is that my daughter grew up playing one game that was her favorite. Now her kids have a chance to play it too. So it was really neat.
And a haunted house, I believe we talked about this before. It's a very, very unique table where it has a little bit of an upper playfield, but it also has a playfield underneath the main playfield. And I think there's only, I want to say 2, maybe 3 machines that do that. I know Krull was one of them.
Yeah, there's a limited number of them. A haunted house had
the Black Hole didn't have an upper playfield.
Well, yeah, but Haunted House had 3 levels. Krull had 3 levels. Like you said, Black Hole had 2. There were other games like, I think, Black Knight, Swords of Revenge had 2 levels, and 2 levels wasn't really unusual, but Gottlieb really pushed things with a 3-level playfield setup on their game. So that was really neat.
So, yeah, so in closing, so you're retiring from volunteering, but you're going to still be around.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I might even volunteer to work on the tech crew next year. You never know. I mean, but I really appreciate having had the opportunity to work with Gabe, his team, and all the people that volunteer for Pintastic, of which there is almost an uncountable multitude of them. A great group of people who really done a lot of time, spent a lot of effort to make what I think is one of the best pinball shows in the United States. So, cheap plug.
Nope, I totally agree with you. We've covered every Pintastic that there has been. Gabe and Gerard and David and the crew have always been good to us, have been extremely good to me, and I appreciate everything you guys done. So on behalf of Sci-Fi Journal, I'm sure the Pintastic crew, we're going to miss you, but we're going to still have you. So thank you very much for the interview. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Enjoy the rest.
Have a wonderful day, too. There's a lot of pinball machines out there to play.
All right, you take care.
Thank you.
Go back to work.
Oh, we will do this. Thanks so much.
We're good? All right, I'm here with Charles. Hi, Charles.
Hi, how are you?
Okay, I'm doing well, thank you. And I noticed your ads here for the Pity, so tell us all about the Pitties.
Absolutely. So the Pennies comes from Pinball Minis. So they are inspired by the world of pinball. So there are just baby characters. So imagine, do you know those Japanese little cartoons?
Yeah.
They're inspired by Japanese culture. So they're cute, they're small, and they represent pinball.
Oh, cool. So give me some examples of some of the characters that you have.
Absolutely. I have a little alien called Alien Hearts. He have a little hearts in their body. They're baby versions, of course. You have a little puppet called, his name is Charlie Logs. So they all has different attitudes, and they like to fight and be, being crazy like little guys. So they're just fun.
Okay. Now, how did you come up with this idea?
I come up with the idea, again, I love the Japanese animation, Hello Kitty. I'm from the 90s, so I wanted to do a brand that inspired by those cartoons, those images, and I wanted to make it related to pinball, because as you know, I feel like pinball has always been for adults. So I wanted to do something cute, something fun, something that children and adults can enjoy, and I created the Pennies.
Now, is this like a comic strip, or is it a book, or what kind of things do you offer?
It is not yet. It's just a bunch of characters.
It's a work in progress.
It's a work in progress. As a small business, you have to start somewhere. So I have t-shirt lines. I have other merchandise that's gonna come out. I have earrings. So later on, I have color books and puzzles and animation. So very soon, very soon.
Now, if people want to get in touch with you and learn more about Pennies, how do they get in touch?
Absolutely. So we have a website. It's www.thepinnies.com. It's part of the family of Pinball Photos. So either website can take you to the other website. So you can visit online or in the shows like Pintastic, and in May we're gonna be in Allentown.
Oh, very nice.
Yes.
Okay, so check out the Pitties. Very much. Charles, thank you very much.
Such a pleasure.
All right, let's see what else is going on at Pintastic 2025.
Okay, back at Pintastic New England 2025, and I was able to corner the founder, the man, totally awesome guy, Gabe D'Annunzio. How's it going?
It's going good. Show's cruising right along. It always goes fast. We start setup this year we started set up on Monday, so get all the Extra Ball Lounge games set up, cleaned, waxed, fixed, and ready to go. And then the show started, and now it goes fast once the show starts.
Yeah, as we're taping, it is Saturday afternoon. It is crazy busy out there. I mean, this hotel is freaking packed.
Yeah, a lot of people came out. I mean, we got 3 inches of snow, so nothing else to do but come play some pinball.
Isn't that crazy? Middle of April, and here we are, 3 inches of snow.
Yep.
Not in Rhode Island.
Do you remember the first time we had Pintastic in 2015? It was the middle of summer, in August. A little bit different then.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it's your 10th anniversary. It's been 10 years. I still remember literally interviewing you in your house, and we were talking about, the first one upcoming, and now just like in like the blink of an eye, 10 years has passed. That's a pretty big milestone, though.
Yeah, we made it 10 years. I mean, some of those games that were sitting behind us when you interviewed me 10 years ago are in the Extra Ball Lounge, which is pretty cool. So, yeah, I know that I didn't know that the show was going to become what it has become, so it's it's awesome, and it's hopefully another 10 years we'll be doing 20 years,
Which I would be really looking forward to. Now, you've been here in the Best Western Hotel in Marlborough for a couple of years. I know the venue has its ups and downs, but you really like it?
Yeah, the hotel has done a lot of upgrades this year. They painted everything, new carpets, four of the 5 bathrooms have been done brand new, carpets in the hallways and for the rooms. So yeah, Sturbridge was a good hotel for its time, but Marlborough seems to be stepping up and making the hotel better as we go and upgrading. So they're going to do more upgrades this year coming up. So hopefully, we booked 740 room nights this year. So the more than we've ever booked.
Which is awesome. So your 10th show, I mean, you've had ups and downs over the years, but the show, which is unique in itself, and we've talked about this before, but there have been some constants, like Jersey Jack's been with you from the beginning. So talk a little bit about your relationship with Jersey Jack and why he and his company is so important to Pintastic.
Yeah, Jack is amazing. He when I was going to start a pinball show, I called him and I asked him his opinion. He said, Go for it. And he threw me the first sponsorship money, which was $1,000. And at the time, I wasn't sure how the company was going, but he still dedicated the money towards the show. And every year he's given us sponsorship money and been here every year the show. And it's amazing that that they represent such a big part of the show, and we're so happy about that.
Yeah, and you've had staples that have come back for various reasons this year, and in previous years. You've had like Todd Tuckey come in pretty much every year. He's been able to from TNT Amusements. You had Project Pinball come in, which is a really, really awesome charity that we talked about on the show. You've had Steve Ritchie come in the past few years. One of the foremost legendary pinball designers of all time, and you've also innovated. You've had different things coming in. You've added cover bands for rock and roll for different various pinball machines, or just because for the fun of it.
Yeah, I mean, we even in our first year, we had the clowns, we had the balloon animals, we had the character artists. They've all been with us, the same ones, for all 10 years, and we try to do things new. We try to do new things that make your money worth the value. It's a value of the show. It's not just pinball. It's the bands, it's the charities, it's the balloon animals, the character artists, it's the race cars, it's the everything that goes into the pinball show to make your dollar go further. That's what I think.
Yeah, one of the things I've always appreciated, and I mentioned this numerous times, and I will mention it again, is that Pintastic is unique in that you try to make it family friendly, and what you do, and it's really a convention that's accessible to all, whether you're old, young, you're a professional, you want to play. There's something here for everybody.
Yeah, we got old kids, we got kids, we got middle-aged, older people, we got tournament players, we got the top 3 tournament players in the world here in our tournaments, and we try to cater to everybody. And we're the only pinball show in the country, I believe, that does 24-hour pinball. So 24 hours for you can get one of the multi-day passes and play 24 hours in our extra ball lounge and never stop. That's the beauty of the show.
Yeah, and it really has evolved and grown. Now you have Stern here this year.
Stern? What do you mean by Stern?
Well, I know they were doing a Stern, I want to say it was a Stern Army seminar thing I think I walked into earlier, among other stuff.
I mean, Stern has supported us. Michael Grant comes from Stern. Usually John Borg comes from Stern. And, we get the Stern employees as well sometimes to come out. And it's difficult, it's difficult to travel to shows. And I know it takes time out of your schedules, but what we do is we try to create a relationship with these people. That's why Steve Ritchie keeps coming. That's why Jack keeps coming. That's why Borg usually comes, but this year he couldn't. He's buried in 2 games right now, so he had to cancel. But those people are they become a family. That's why this show is what it is. It's a family event. It's a family of pinball people. So that's what we try to push.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. It is a family, and it's not just for the people that are coming and attending. It's also for the vast number of volunteers and the people, your staff that you have working for you. And I've gotten the privy to see a lot of stuff behind the scenes since Kat is one of your team leaders, and it really is. Sometimes you have disagreements, sometimes you have stuff going on, but in the end you put it all together, and each and every year you have grown and you have made it better, whether it's been a little bit or a lot. Where do you see yourself going forward? And obviously you said earlier, you're looking forward to a 20th, which I really feel that you could get there.
Yeah, I mean, we have 15, I think it's 15 team leaders. They all take care of different parts of the show. And you gotta have that. You can't do it by yourself. And you can't even do it with 4 or 5 people. It's got to be a group effort. We had, beyond the team leaders, we had like 28 volunteers this year, shifts, running shifts, security, doors, up game, the people, the repair crew. Without the repair crew, the games can't, will break and down, and then you have bad press, like we had games, we had the free play room full this year, and we had backup room. We had games on backup, 10 games. Games leave, going game fills that spot. So that's a new thing we did this year. You got to have that stuff, or else people start thinking that the game, game sold and the show, everybody leaves. No, we come up with ideas to take care of these problems. So that's one thing we did this year.
So let's see. One last question. Now, you're obviously the founder. You've been doing this a long time, but you wouldn't have gotten into this in the first place if you didn't have a love of pinball. There's been a lot of machines that have come out over the past year or so. Do you have any favorites or anything that new that's coming out, or anything you're looking forward to that's upcoming?
If I could buy all of the machines, I would, but the prices are crazy. So I'm looking forward to Harry Potter, and I did buy a Medieval Madness Merlin edition that should be in the Extra Ball Lounge next year. So
oh, nice!
I'm excited about that, and never had one of those. So it's difficult. I'm up to 38 games, and I brought all 38 in my whole collection this year.
You've never owned a Medieval Madness ever?
No, I never. I've always wanted one, but the prices have been high. I never been able to find a decent deal on one. But now I'm just going to go new, because it's a beautiful game. So yeah. Pinball machines, they come and go, but the top ones I usually keep because I love them for my collection. So I modify them, make them beautiful, and then it's hard for me to let go. But you do, and Pintastic and the pinball community in general, especially here in New England, is all the better for it. I'm looking forward to talking with you again next year. It's been a great 10 years. You've always been good to us at Sci-Fi Journal. I really appreciate it. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much for the interview. Enjoy the rest of Pintastic, and take care of yourself. Yeah, one thing I want to mention is it's not, you get the free play, you get the people that bring the games, you get all the clubs that bring the games, you get all the tournaments that they do. That's all the clubs come together from New England to make this show, so it's not just me. Yeah, and we should probably very quickly shout out, you also have a good relationship with some of the vendors, like Mike from Automated's been here like a number of years. He's a big sponsor. Yeah, Mike is a sponsor. He's been our supporter from the very beginning. We have new vendors like Pinball Tycoon. We have a lot of the vendors in the vendor hall, Pinnovators and Pinball Photos and Pin Graphics and Mayfair, all those guys, they've been around from the very first show. They're like my family. And Boston Pinball, all those guys, I love them all.
And you should, and you've done something really special and really unique here, and Pintastic New England 2026 is going to be awesome, I'm sure. Gabe, again, thank you for spending a few minutes. I know you're a busy guy, so I'll let you go. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of Pintastic.
Thank you. Thank you for the coverage from the very beginning.
Most welcome. All right, let's go see what else we can do and get into it at Pintastic New England 2025. Okay, Pintastic New England 2025. Now, we are outside the free play area and the seminar room, and I was walking by this table last night, and I'm looking, and it said Pin Snake, and I'm like, okay, that's kind of interesting, and I had no idea what it was really, because there was nothing going on. There was a checkpoint pinball machine over there that had the top off, and it's like not in play, so I'm like, okay. And then I walked by it a couple other times, and then I came by like a fourth time, and now I'm looking at the video, I'm like, oh, that's what it is, and I felt like a doofus for not figuring it out. Anyways, the owner of Pinsnake.com is Anthony, and he's here to tell us what Pinsnake is, and it's actually a really cool innovation. So Anthony, first off, welcome to Pintastic. You having fun?
Absolutely. I've been to this show a couple times as a customer. It's my first time as a vendor, and when I got into the pinball hobby, Pintastic was the first show I ever came to.
Awesome. So talk a little bit about Pinsnake. Simplistic, but very, very efficient. And you can show it in action.
Of course. The Pinsnake came out of necessity. When I got into the pinball hobby 3 years ago, my first pinball machine was a Terminator 2. Yep. Player's condition. I tore it apart, cleaned it up, made it nice, put it back together. A month later, I started noticing all the trails, noticing all the dirt catching in the back. So I went online, asking everybody, hey, I'm new to this. How do you clean this? And nobody gave me a straight answer. I could, use a screwdriver with a rag, use chopsticks, use a magnet, take it apart again, all kinds of things. So, being a special makeup effects artist, I've been working in the movie business for 30 years. I fabricate prosthetics, props, all kinds of things. I knew a way I could devise something, a tool for myself that would work to clean it, because I needed to keep my machines clean. A couple months of R&D, and if you remember back in the 80s, we had these toy snakes. Yep. The plastic ones that used to wave around.
The puzzles.
The puzzles. Not the ones that you fold, but the loose ones that you just play at like a fair. Yep. I'd had that, and my son had this little fidget spinner with articulating arm, so I put two and two together and figured out a way to make something that would fit every pinball machine possible. So the Pinsnake, I'll show it to you like this. The Pinsnake is basically a 3D printed plastic wand with Velcro on the sides and the bottom, has a little snake head on the front, and it's the exact same diameter as the ball. So wherever the ball can go, the Pinsnake can go. You add basically one easy microfiber cloth onto the snake, and you have your Pinsnake ready to go, and you can clean any machine with it. Everything I've tested it on, from early Bally's and Stearns all the way up to modern Stearns, Williams, Gottlieb's, Alvin G's, Jersey Jacks, you name it. And so far, I found that the Pinsnake has covered about 99% of it. The problem is, when I started cleaning things, I needed to clean it all the time, and I didn't want to take it apart. I took apart my Terminator 2 4 times. I broke the ramp. I've knocked out switches. So the Pinsnake made it easier for me to maintain it. Now I do the Pinsnake every time I take the glass off. I give it a 5-minute clean through, and boom, I haven't seen a ball trail in months.
That's awesome. And you said since it's the size of the ball, it doesn't matter, whether the ramp is go curvy or if it's straight on.
Honestly, yeah, the Pinsnake has its limitations. It doesn't go up and down, it goes left and right.
Yeah.
But if you turn it on its side, it will go up and down. Everything I've tested on so far, tight corkscrews, the Silver Ball Mania, you have that tight horseshoe, vertical horseshoes like World Cup Soccer or Tales from the Crypt, even horseshoes that are like on Indiana Jones. My spiral ramp on my Pinbot, the snake just kind of makes its way through everything. I have a video online that shows the Pinsnake in all different forms. Like, you can see it on all these machines, Ghostbusters, Modern Stearns, all the way to like Totem, Amazon Hunt, and so forth.
That's really awesome. And so I am assuming pinsnake.com is where they can go for like more information and if they want to actually get some of your product.
Absolutely. Pinsnake.com is the website. You can find it in 6 different colors right now, and I'm working on new products to make them smaller and all different sizes and shapes. I've been featured on Slam Till Podcasts, and I just recently won the 2024 TWIPY Award for Best Non-Interactive Mod from Kineticist.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
So Pinsnake has taken off. People love it, and as of now, I've sold almost 2,000 units in less than a year.
Wow.
Incredible, and the pinball community has been very open arm about it. And I expected it to be like I sell 10, maybe 20 and as a hobby, and it became a thing where I feel that almost every pinball player or every pinball owner should have one.
Like I said, it might be simplistic in nature, but it's very, very effective. So make sure if you're looking for something to help clean your tables, try out Pinsnake. Thank you very much for spending a few minutes with us, and enjoy the rest of Pintastic.
Calvin, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And thank you guys, everybody out there who voted for me, and thank you everybody who bought a Pinsnake. I appreciate it.
Okay, Pintastic New England 2025, the 10th anniversary, and which is pretty cool because I'm here with one of the original founders of Pintastic, Mr. Derek Baldessari. I hope I got that right, and if I messed it up, hey, awesome. So, first off, 10 years, and you're here as a guest, having fun?
Oh, it's just a blast. The show is just so awesome because of the people who are here. It's the people who make the show.
Yeah. So you go way back to beginning. So back in 2014, because we had to skip 2020, obviously, due to COVID and stuff. So talk about your involvement and how you helped get Pintastic along.
Well, Gabe and I went out to Ivan's show in Pennsylvania, Pinfest, and on the drive home, and that was my first pinball show, and it was just such a blast, so much fun. And on the ride home, Gabe said to me, why don't we do a show for New England? Let's do a pinball show for New England. I said, are you crazy? There is no way we're going to do any pinball show. You know how much work that is, what it takes to do? But Gabe, you know, he has a way of selling things, and he talked me into it, and I said, all right, Gabe, let's do it. Let's do it. We'll go all out. We'll do it right, make it an awesome show for the New England area and put us on the map, and that's what we did. And here we are 10 years later. I cannot believe the time that has gone by, but that was its original beginning. As we were driving home, he was the one who said, let's do this. So here we are.
That first year was crazy at the Sturridge Host Hotel, and then, you know, having a little like amusement ride stuff in the back, and there was like a ton of stuff for kids, and then you had the vendors outside, and you had the flea market, and yeah, I had never gone to a total pinball convention before, so I didn't really know what to expect. But we covered plenty of like sci-fi fantasy conventions, and it was definitely unique. But I had an absolute blast. And starting from the beginning. So I know there were trials and tribulations and stuff, but obviously in order to start a pinball convention, you got to be a pinball fan. So what got you into pinball?
Actually, my father loved pinball. He was really good at pinball, and we'd go to arcades and stuff. So even as a kid, being around it, especially in the summer times when we would go away on family trips to the beach, and they had a little arcade set up. So we would go to the arcade and play games, and just from skee ball to pinball to video games, just fell in love right from the beginning. And all throughout life, I grew up in East Boston, and there was an arcade, Seville Arcade in East Boston, so it was a walk down the street, and I always go there, and that's where all my allowance went. And just great fun and memories, and that was the bedrock of my falling in love with the hobby.
All right, so now you're back. You're basically here as a guest, but you're enjoying yourself. Is there any particular thing in Pintastic that you like doing or you look forward to doing? And do you have like a favorite machine? There's so many diverse machines coming out, between like the new stuff that you have from Jersey Jack or Stern or Spooky, and I'm sure I'm missing like a ton of Multimorphic with the P3 stuff. And then, there's a homebrew room dedicated, like people just coming up with like some crazy ideas, which are like really, really cool.
my favorite game right now, my favorite game was always Twilight Zone, and now it's Godzilla. I love Godzilla. I have one premium, and it's just such a blast to play. Those are my favorite games. My favorite thing about the show is all the people. I really come here, and for the whole duration that I'm here, I'm really talking to people. And they make the show, the people, especially the staff who helps out, because there is no show without the staff. They do so much, they're so selfless, and give up their time to make everyone else's experience a real good one. So being with the people is the best thing of all. In the home brew room, I mean, just these people are insane in a good way with the things that they come out, their iterations, the ideas, how they put it all together. There's a pinball circus, which was redone, and Warhammer, and Badlands, and just Borderlands, and just incredible, phenomenal with the things that they come up with. So much fun to play. But the best thing of all is talking to other people, including you, Calvin. You're always top-notch.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Like I've said before, and we talked with Dave, Pintastic Pinball and Pintastic New England is very unique, and we have an absolute blast. This is one of the few conventions I can go to, and I don't feel like I'm working, even though I am. And the other guys, like Mark and the other people we have in Sci-Fi General, feel the same way. It's a fun convention, and there's so much to do, so much to see, and being able to play games and being able to interact with people who like to play games, and, like to play pinball and stuff, it really makes it worthwhile, and it's an event I personally look forward to like every year.
Yeah.
So anyways.
See, that's exactly what I'm talking about. You make the show. The excitement in doing this that comes from all these people and their families, especially when you see, little ones and they're getting into the hobby, it's just awesome to see. Awesome to see.
Yep, so if you haven't been on the fence of attending Pintastic New England, you should come, because there will be a Pintastic New England in 2026. We will talk more about that when that comes along. We got to get through 2025 first. Well, Derek, I really appreciate you taking a few minutes to spend time with us. Enjoy the rest of Pintastic.
The pleasure was mine. Thank you, Calvin.
All right, let's go see what else we can get into with Pintastic New England 2025. All right, Pintastic New England 2025. Earlier, we had talked with Tony, who was like the lead tech guy, and now I'm here with Brian McCauley, who was basically the other co-lead tech guy. Like I said before, the tech guys are the unsung heroes when it comes to any sort of a gaming convention, because they're the ones that keep the things up and running and rolling. So when you get to go play, you get to have fun, but these are the guys that really make it going. So Brian, how's it going?
Going very good, thank you.
So I've known you for a while, but how many Pintastics have you actually been at?
I've actually been to 10, and
all of them?
I've been to all of them, yes, and I started teching with Tony after on the third show.
Okay. So the first two shows you were just an attendee?
Yes.
So how did you end up volunteering then?
So I had met Tony a couple of years ago, a couple of years before for my first Pintastic, and I showed up at his house unexpected for one of his tournaments, and afterwards I ended up coming to the show, and they were asking for volunteers, and Tony was the first person who I met, and he welcomed me on the team, and been here ever since.
Now, your day job, you actually do arcade repair, correct?
Yes, I service roughly about 550 machines throughout New England.
You handle like Boston up to like northern New England?
I do Boston up to South Portland, Maine, and then I go out as far as usually West New Hampshire.
So you're very adequately up to speed on, one of the things I had talked with Tony earlier. I mean, you really have the gamut of stuff. You have, pinball tables in there, and we've had tables in there from the 50s on up to today. So, I mean, you know very well the difference between like the EM tables with the switches and stuff, and then you have the latest stuff with like, computer banks and LED lights, and of course I'm kind of going off script, but you know what I mean.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
So, and everything breaks down, and it could be something from a ball being stuck to a diode going out, or like a little switch that blows the whole thing apart. Like earlier, I guess there was an issue with like one of Gabe's Guns N' Roses machines.
Yes, it's a big facet. It could be electronic problem. It could be a mechanical problem. And we have a great team here, and they're good at diagnosing, and they're good at looking at things and listening to the players as well. They're the ones who help us out the most. They tell us what the problem with the machines are, and we're able, because of our experience, we can go in and diagnose and repair what needs to be repaired. Tony, myself, and the other team, we bring parts and what have you. So between all of us, we basically can have most of everything covered. We also go with Mayfair. If we need specialized parts that we don't have, we have the backup of Mayfair to help us as well.
Yeah, and you guys, for those of you who have not been to Pintastic New England yet, with this hotel, it's basically split into two parts. So the free play area and the vendor area is like one section, and then they have a couple of rooms where this year there's a specialized room that has homebrew, and then I think it's Tycoon Arcade, it's at the other end. But all the tournament stuff and the extra ball lounges and the pinball clubs are over basically on the other side of the hotel. So you're going back and forth. So you're doing a lot.
Yes. Well, so we maintain, different companies like Tycoon, they only call us for assistance. They basically maintain their own. But the others, we do free play, and then we do the extra ball lounges. And again, we do the club rooms, which again, they're pretty much self-sustaining, but once in a while we have to jump in. And this year we had the Steve Ritchie room, so that was a little bit of an addition on the side. So yes, we move quite a bit, and we do, different areas. And
so what got you into deciding to do arcade repair as a form of living?
When I was younger, I had a brother who had brought in some arcade machines, Bowling Queen, Gottlieb Bowling Queen, Wedge Head, and being a little kid, I was about 8 years old, I decided to take a can of WD-40 and sprayed every contact to make it work. Well, that does the opposite. I was probably 11 years old. My brother threw me a set of keys and said, "Here's your birthday present." So through the vendors at that time, it was Mayfair and Pinball Resource. It used to be mail. If you wanted parts, you would, they'd mail you this little pamphlet you would write down and send out. Wait a week, you'd get the mail. And so I go that far back when there was no internet. And I just started rebuilding this machine and really, really enjoyed it. So he got a second machine. I started learning that. And I just grew from those two machines, then going to bowling alleys around where I lived and just learning from operators. And as they get older, I get friendly with a couple of unbelievable operators with great techs, and just gain the experience and knowledge, and self-taught from going from EMs to solid states. I just learned that, the old style is just an electronic style, that same, it's switches, it's what have you. So it really, it was an easy transition.
Yeah. And you're leading it on to the next generation. Your son's been volunteering for the past couple of years?
Yeah, Joshua's come a long way. He's doing some repairs, and he has been helpful. I mean, I believe this is his fourth year. Joshua is becoming an engineer. That's what he's going to school for. So a lot of this is his background, what he's been studying, and he's really helped out a lot as well.
So I asked the same question to Tony, and I asked the same question to you. For getting into doing all this, I know you have a love of pinball. So do you have like a favorite table, or is there a favorite type of machine that you like to play?
Well, I collect a manufacturer called Game Plan. It was just something I started, mid-90s, and I've got quite a few of those. My favorite machine right now that I like is Pulp Fiction. I love the movie, I love the background of it, and I just think that machine for a single level play field is a great machine. So that's my favorite machine.
Yeah, I was speaking with somebody earlier, and they were talking about how a friend of mine, and they like all the bells and whistles, but sometimes the tables that have harken back to a more simplistic time, and it's not to say that Pulp Fiction isn't simplistic, but you don't have like the giant LED screen, you don't have like a ton of stuff going on, but it's still a really fun game to play.
Absolutely. It's really preference to people. Some people love the bling. I'm old school. I like the old incandescent lights. Yeah. I like the basics. Don't get me wrong, there are some real beautiful machines that are coming out, plus what people are modifying them now. There are some beautiful machines, but I like the old style. Yeah. I like the old glow of the the yellowish ambiance and what have you. So
no, I know exactly what you're talking about. I mean, being a movie and TV enthusiast, I think think streaming is great. I love all the advances in technology, but I love my physical media, and I'm never getting rid of it as long as you can have it, because it's just, you know, it's yours, and the quality is always better if you have it on a disc and it's right there instead of streaming it over. And so no, there's definitely something in that which is like really, really cool. And it's always good to go back through, like, I was born in '69, so I'm in the perfect spot from like when video games became a thing, and when pinball had its renaissance. So when I talk to the kids on my bus, I'm like, yeah, I can see it all. I have seen it all, or most of it anyway. But it really is something, and Pintastic has been great for 10 years. You've gone as attendee, you've been a volunteer. I've been to every one, even last year, even though it kind of snuck in. It was only a couple hours. It's still been every one. And it's been great, and the crew here, and it's really become like a family. You know, you might have your differences and stuff, but everybody works together, and the show's grown by leaps and bounds from where it was back in 2014.
Absolutely. So, you know, we are a big family. You know, it's not just based like where I belong to the repair, or I'm actually, my official title is I am the free play coordinator, but I jump over to the repair team and assist Tony. It is a big family. We interact with the box office, we interact with the clubs. We all put our ideas and our heads together and focus on what we need to do. You know, we do butt heads once in a while, but it's normal. We come together, and, you know, this year has been just a joyful year. It's been a lot of fun. We figured out some bugs that we were doing. The team, especially the repair team, we've had a lot of fun this year. So it really, you know, the teams work well together. Really do.
They do. Tony spoke very highly of you when I was talking to him, you know, earlier today, and really, really awesome guy, and you're an awesome guy too. So if you come up here, when you see the guys running around, stop a minute, take a second, and just say thank you, and go back and enjoy playing the games, because without these guys, we don't have this convention. Enjoy the rest of Pintastic. I'm sure I will see you next year. You're probably going to have a different title. It would not surprise me at all if you ended up being, you know, the head, which I'm pretty sure you're going to be. But anyways.
Well, you know, big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
Tony, again, I knew by accident, then coming back on, I re-met Tony. I have learned unbelievable amounts. The personality Tony brought to the show. He was a nucleus for the team. Most of the people who were on the team were people that Tony recruited because of his knowledge. I said it earlier, it's excellence. Tony is just an unbelievable person. I can't fill his shoes. There's nobody who's going to fill his shoes. It just, like I said, it's a sad day, but it's a happy day. Tony's going to be doing what he wants to do, and we're going to miss him. Really big shoes.
He'll be working with you next year in some way, shape, or form. I can feel that in my bones. Anyways, I know it's getting late, and I know you got work to do. So anyways, enjoy the rest of the con as best as you can, and I'm sure we'll talk soon.
Thank you.